Hello there, you're watching and listening to another Scoutcast from www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark. Good evening.
My name's Gylfi.
My name's Andy.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's just the three of us again tonight, nice and cosy, a bit warmer this evening, and there's live matches going on, so we've got to be careful not to commentate or get too carried away. It's not like loads of points are going in, is it, Jonty?
No, do you know what? This always happens. As soon as we schedule a Scoutcast for a midweek set of fixtures, all of us always do absolutely horribly. It's
miserably.
It's like they know that we've got to face people for it. But
it is often the case, and this has been like a pretty dismal game week so far. I was hoping for something from Ibra or Lukaku. Nothing so far, but my tale of woe is nothing compared to this gentleman. Andy, you're suffering a bit, aren't you?
It's actually getting worse as you speak. So I mean, Phil Jones, he's just gone off before 60 minutes. Mkhitaryan, who I've had for 5 weeks and he's done nothing, has just gone off on 61.
Well, you got an extra point for that.
Got an extra point, yeah, true. I got Morales. We'll see what happens with him. And Ibra's done nothing, yeah. It's like Johnny said, this always happens every time we come on after or during games, just as they're about to finish. Always a rubbish game week.
Not good.
There's always next week, though.
Yeah, we're going to talk about our game weeks, such as they are. We haven't got a rough with the smooth because it's too tight to turn it around, obviously, because the game week closes tonight while we're on air, in fact. We've got some community questions, though, Jonty. What are we going to be talking about?
We're going to be revisiting those blank fixtures that are coming up because we have more information. We're armed with more information this week.
Yeah, more information.
More information. We're going to talk about Giroud and how to get rid of him. We're going to talk about Sigurdsson, how to get him. We're going to talk about Sanchez. Some people want to get rid of him too, and also have a good look ahead to the game week 24's fixtures.
Yes, indeed. It's a bit of an earlier start, and it's a Wednesday night. It's all very, very different indeed. But what isn't perhaps different is our game weeks where we're not doing too well. John, to your top of the pile, I don't know how you're doing tonight, but before tonight you had 40 points. Anything tonight? Have you got anything out?
I've got just Ibrahimovic playing and Lukaku, so both late goal specialists. So I'm still holding out hope.
Very true.
But I feel okay. I came into tonight with 40. Which wasn't too, but I mean, considering the game, the average then was 22. I got Brunt and Ali in, got rid of Lallana, and got rid of Holibas as well. I'm still only fielding 10 this week because Charlie Daniels, unfortunately, decided to get a knee injury.
You let you down. 10 men. You only need 10 men.
So I was pleased I got Brunt in because it would have been 9 then, and also I'm pleased I got him in, even though he didn't do anything this week. But he's great long term, and we'll see why with the blank fixture discussion.
You took a hit. What was the hit for Brunt?
Well, I mean, essentially Brunt, because I knew I was going in with hardly any defenders. I had Amat, Holibas, and it turns out Daniels as well. And I just didn't have enough defenders, so I needed to take it. He was the only one for 5 million. 5 million was my limit because I wanted Ali in as well.
Brunt's a very good signing.
The best things were Heaton. A real fancy football scout community favourite. Lots of us have him, but not a lot of our rivals who perhaps don't look at fancy football scout. And Sigurdsson, who I kept hold of. I had a choice of getting rid of him a couple of weeks ago. Decided to keep him, bench him, might come in handy. Turns out he has. In fact, I would say he's back. He's doing what he was doing this time last season. So
well, we're going to look at him, aren't we, later on? He's really stung me because I did held him. And it got to the point where I've got to have to get him out now. And it hasn't paid off at all. He's really punished me. And we'll talk a lot more about Sigurdsson later on. Andy wasn't very good before tonight, and it's got worse tonight. Do you want to go through the agony of taking us through it so far?
Yeah, I won't bore you for too long. I'm on 38 currently. Like I said, that Morales assist might go. We'll have to wait and see about that. But yeah, 38 with him. I've got barely any players left on the pitch now. I think just Ibra. Morales probably isn't going to last much longer the way he goes. But yeah, I had Heaton as well. He's really good. Bonus points again, like you said, the defenders just aren't getting them, so he always picks them up. I bought in Ali for Hazard. I did say I think we'd regret getting rid of Hazard. Obviously, it was just the assist, but still more points than Ali got. But I'm happy enough with Ali going forward. And then the only real decision I had to make this week was whether to play Crouch or play Phillips, and I played Phillips and Crouch has gone and scored. Now he's on 3 bonus points currently. So
well, that must have been a close one. I've got to say, and I don't muck around here. I would have gone Crouch probably because I just think Phillips at Middlesbrough. Well, then again, though, Middlesbrough had injuries, so there would have been. I don't know.
I bench Phillips too. So
I was going to bench Phillips, and he was on my bench until Berahino signed, and I foolishly thought that he might start straight away. Didn't know what would happen with Crouch. I know he's been in form, but I don't know. I just thought maybe
going for the 100 goal, wasn't he? He was going for the.
Yeah.
That's a robot, by the way.
Okay, it's good to
I'm not having some kind of fit.
But yeah, I should have played in that hindsight. I did think about it before, genuinely made a mistake, but there we go. He's looking to be one of my highest scorers this week as well.
Yeah, you're a bit unlucky with Jones there. That's horrible. I had it with Danny Rose in my team. I lost a clean sheet there when he went off injured, clutching his knee. That was very depressing indeed. I didn't make a transfer. That's my only consolation. So I've got 39 points at the moment, pretty tepid. But I've got 2 transfers, so I can make an early one tonight. Coleman will be coming in for Rose for me, and I'll still have 1 left, and I'll see what I'm going to do with that later on. More on that, as I say, to come. Okay, let's talk community questions. I guess it's all going to be about the blanks and the double game weeks. Now, we had Pacino come up with his article, his first of several for us, which was excellent, to kind of unravel what we spoke about last week on the Scoutcast. And there's more to add, is there, John T?
Well, yeah, I mean, I obviously just want to say I do urge people to go on Fantasy Football Scout and read that article because it's very telling. And the key thing is it kind of shapes how we should be making our transfers going forward. It's interesting you said Coleman there. I'm guessing one of the reasons, not just because he's a good attacking defender, is that we know he plays in game week 26. We know he plays in game week 28, so he's a very good investment. And we also he's got great fixtures. So, but Green Windmill asks us, are we making a meal out of all of these blank fixtures with potentially only poor teams, as he puts it, playing in game week 28 so far that we know? Wouldn't it be better to focus on the fixtures around it? And Lacani FC, how do we navigate the blanks? And he's factoring game week 26 as well. So here's what we do know. Game week 26, City and United are off. Arsenal and Southampton are off. So if you've got lots of players from those sides, game week 26, you're stuffed. So have a think about that. And then what we do know is that game week 28, that's when there's going to be some FA Cup games. And we had the draw this week, and virtually all of the Premier League sides got very easy ties on.
Well, and it was extraordinary, wasn't it? Because I think someone was trying to work out the maths of what were the chances of all the Premier League sides avoiding each other, and they did. It was the worst possible draw in terms of blanks.
For fantasy managers, it's entirely possible that we could actually be going into game week 28 with just 3 fixtures taking place, 6 teams. It is possible. There's a few of those where you would imagine Arsenal going to be Sutton, for example, but there's a few kind of championship sides still lurking around playing Premier League sides. So you never know. But we do know Bournemouth, West Ham is on, Everton, West Brom is on, Hull and Swansea is on. They are definitely taking place. So we're thinking about preparing him. So this is what Green Win was talking about. Who cares? It's going to be a bad game week anyway. Just focus on the bigger picture.
Yeah, I mean,
other people like Pacino are saying no, start preparing now.
What do you think about that? Because I obviously the temptation is to go, okay, let's get 11 players for game week 28. For 26, it's far easier because you can bench. You probably only got Sanchez, Ibra, and perhaps one more, so you can do it. 28, it's looking almost impossible unless every single transfer you make now, plus perhaps some more, is aimed at getting a full team for game week 28. And Green Wimmel's point is it even worth it given the teams that are playing? I think he might have a point,
I think he has a point, but it depends. I think his assertion is that it's only poor teams left. Well, are Everton poor? Is Coleman poor? Is Baines poor? Is Lukaku poor? Is Barkley and Morales poor? There's lots of options there. They've got great fixtures all around this as well. Very handy. West Brom, is Matt Phillips really that poor? Is Chris Bunk poor? Is Ben Foster poor? Once again, lots of options there. And then you've got Swansea as well. Is Sigurdsson poor? We'll come to him later. No, he's not. And then, okay, Hull, yeah, I'll give him that. West Ham, I'm not sure at the moment. They're still not undecided whether they're poor yet. And then you've got Bournemouth, who've got some nice, cheaper options. So, for example, I've got 7 players already who can play in game week 28. And I'm probably going to have 9 by the end of this game week. But I'm not going to go any further than that. If I end up only fielding 9, I will. Because I'm not going to go completely overboard. But I'm quite happy for some of my bench players to come in then. So, for example, Charlie Daniels, if I keep him, he'll come in game week 28 if needed, if his knee's fine. Stanislas as well is another one. So start thinking about, the way I'm looking at it is go for those biggies who are playing then, and also have good fixtures around it. Sigurdsson, Lukaku, for example, Coleman. There's no harm getting. To be honest, even if game 28 wasn't a blank or a troublesome fixture, I'd still be looking to get these players in. Anyway.
Yeah, but I think the fact is, I mean, I'm looking at my team going, well, Ericsson and Ali, I don't want to get rid of them. You know, I don't want to lose the money that I've gained on them. It's like the Sanchez Ibrahimovic. We can bench them for 26. And people are saying, well, you know, with 2 game weeks missing in 3, you're going to get rid of them. And I'm like, well, am I? I don't know. Well, because we don't want to commit too much to this. And then when you're starting to get like Morales and Holgate in and Rondon and players like that, then you're starting to, I think, veer off path a little bit. I think you're absolutely right. For myself, I'm looking at it going Coleman, Lukaku, Sigurdsson, for me, are effective players anyway. So you're going to target them. I mean, okay, so someone like Pacino might have 11 game week 28 players, but if 4 of them are only getting him 2 points, I'm only 8 points worse off. Plus, I've kept Ali and Ericsson, blah, blah, blah. So I think there's a balance to be had here. I think we can, if we're not too careful, get too carried away. Andy, what's your views on this?
Yeah, I think most of it I would echo. I mean, just as an example, I already know this is kind of where the blank game weeks dictate to us. My next 3 transfers will be an Everton defender, Sigurdsson and Lukaku. And given their fixtures kind of around the blanks, you know, I want them in my team anyway. So that's kind of where I'm starting. The other thing is, which is mentioned in the article, that we will know, as long as there's no replays, we'll know before game week 26 who's going to blank in 28, I think that's right. Yeah. So, for instance, Sanchez, and this is where you have to look at your own team, because for me, I don't have that much money wrapped up in Sanchez. I think it's like 0.4 million, and he's likely to drop if he starts blanking. And his game in between is Liverpool. So for me, that's someone I can drop for 3 games and then look to get back. Whereas Ibrahimovic, I've had him for a bit longer. He's got money tied up, and he has Bournemouth in game week 27. So I'd be more looking to keep him than I would Sanchez. So
okay. I've got to interrupt you there, because the issue with getting rid of Sanchez, and you say, well, I'll just buy him back, is you can only really make the most of selling Sanchez by using the money. And if you're using the money, you're going to need multiple transfers to get him back. And then you might fall into a trap of, it's going to take me 2 or 3 weeks to get him back. And he's scoring every week. So are you not worried about that?
Yeah, but that's 3 weeks without someone that's worth. I don't necessarily have to redistribute the money. I could just swap him for a midfielder that I want in my team for those weeks. It's hard to say right now exactly what I'll do with someone like Sanchez. If he's blanking twice and has Liverpool in between, then that's a player that I'd probably look to get rid of. But I won't just bring in. I'm not just going to. The plan right now, anyway, is not just to bring in players just because they don't blank, because I do think that, like Johnny said, those 8 Premier League teams could all go through. It seems unlikely that will happen. There's going to be an upset somewhere, but that's a lot of players that are going to miss out. And I think we have to remember that obviously everyone else is going to be in the same boat. And if someone in your mini league comes to game week 28, all those teams aren't playing and they've got a full team, that's because they probably haven't planned for it, in which case they'll probably be stuck later on. So, yeah, everyone's in the same boat. I'm not going to worry about it too much. It's probably going to have to wait till game week 26. But the other thing I'm trying to do, it's hard when you've got 5 United and Arsenal players, is save a transfer. I want to start rolling transfers, because that's what's going to be needed, because I don't want to be wildcarding until after the blanks, for sure. So
you've got 5 United and Arsenal players at the moment. So you've got Sanchez, Ibra, Mkhitaryan, Jones, and
Giroud.
Yeah, so you have.
It's a nightmare. Yeah, but it does. But that's Jones, Mkhitaryan, Giroud to Lukaku, Sigurdsson, Coleman. So it's a nightmare. I'm going to have to take hits, I think, but so be it. If they're long-term moves, I don't mind. But that's the, depending on how you look at it, the good or bad thing about double game weeks and blanks is they start dictating the transfers for you.
Yeah, that can be handy. So let's look at another scenario. Manchester City, very impressive tonight. It was 4-0 when we came on air. Not sure what the score is now, maybe 7, 8, 9. But we're avoiding Man City assets, are we? I mean, like Sterling has been, I think he's got, 7 assists now in the last 7 games?
It's actually 8 and 8 now, because he got 2 tonight.
Okay. So Sterling's a player who is very cheap, who normally, if there was no blanks coming up, if you look at City's fixtures, if they didn't have a blank in game week 28, you'd go, quite fancy that. They got the 26 blank as well, of course. Normally, you'd go Swansea, Bournemouth in the next 2, I'm getting Sterling in. But would you not do it now? Are we clearly saying our policy is no one with a blank in 26 is coming into our teams. That seems to be the approach.
It depends.
Is that the case?
It depends how set up you are. So, for example, with my team, I have Ibrahimovic, Sanchez, and Giroud. That's it. Who's blanking it. So, in theory, I could bench the lot. I'll probably be getting rid of Giroud. So I've got 2 there, just 2. So I do have the option. I could get Sterling in, and it really wouldn't bother me too much, because then I could perhaps move him out at game week 26. So as it stands at the moment. So it depends. If you've got like Andy and you've got 5 or 6 players who are definitely missing, you just don't have that leeway. So no, I would say, no, you can't be bringing more in, because
but also what you're doing though is you're going against the advice in the article, in that, you know, the article says that every transfer should be looking at 28 as well. So by getting Sterling in now, you're using a transfer to get a player in who could miss 28. You're not getting an Everton, West Brom or Swansea player in. You're getting a player who could.
I think game 28 is a long way off. But as I said, I'm in a lucky position. I've already got 7 who are playing, definitely. So I've got 7 players who are, if worst case scenario happens, and there's probably not that many who've got that, who actually, you know, fit and playing good assets. So I've already got Lukaku, Sigurdsson. I've already got those kind of Chris Brunt, these key players in. And we even got Johnny Evans festering on the bench. Happy for him to come in that week if his legs can hold out.
It's a big if.
So that's a big if there. But yeah, so we don't know. There's lots of big ifs. But I just think, I think it's kind of thing is it depends on what team you've got, whether you like taking hits or don't, your attitude to risk. But another thing as well, there was one of our regular posters at F Society put up a really good comment the other day, because I was thinking about getting Andy Carroll in, if once again, if his legs can hold out. And he was saying, and I said, because I had game week 28 in mind, because we know he's going to play. There's good fixtures around there. And he said, that's crazy. He said, that's like buying an ice cream now and thinking, oh, I'll have that in a month's time. Oh, wait a minute, it's melted. Because that's what you're getting with Andy Carroll. Will he be fit for another month?
And that's why we've said, though, that, you know, players like Sigurdsson and Lukaku you're happy with regardless. So you can get them in now and worry about the other players later on when we have more info. Because right now we've got a bit of info, but we still don't know who's going to blank in 28. We're just making assumptions. So I think I wouldn't necessarily get someone in just for 28 right now if the fixtures are awful. But if they're good and they're not going to blank, then that's kind of the perfect scenario right now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Everton are a gift to us, aren't they? Because they've got Bournemouth, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, right? And then 28, they've got West Brom. And even 29, they've got home to Hull. So they've got 4 home games in the next 6 anyway. All 4 incredibly favourable. Very strong at home. That to me you can't turn that down. So I mean, I'm going to talk about my transfers later on. I think that is justified. Sigurdsson is a little bit more tricky because he has got 2 very tough fixtures. So you're banking on them doing what they did to Liverpool, you know, in the 2 tough games that they've got, because they've got City and Chelsea. Is he going to get a lot of City? Not the way City look tonight. Is he going to get a lot of Chelsea? No, probably not. So
no, I would dispute the City one. City are absolutely appalling in defence. They still are, and Sigurdsson is a quality player. We saw what he's been doing for the last few seasons. Chelsea, yes, that is tough. I think he would struggle to get any returns there. But I would definitely get him in for the City game if you've got no other pressing matters, because then he's got Leicester next. Leicester at home, and then he's got Burnley at home, Hull away, Hull away, and then Bournemouth away. I mean, it doesn't get. It's a massive plum in a giant plum tree.
Worth noting that
fixtures.
Pep did finally. He has dropped Bravo now. I think he's dropped. I don't think he's injured. So
no, he's dropped. Yeah.
Maybe they'll be a bit more defensive now.
Well, they've got a goalkeeper who can save a shot.
Exactly, he saves a shot like
which is
within
always
the
quite
first
handy.
5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think we have to be mindful of it. I think the temptation, like Greenwheel indicates, is to just pile in and go, right, I'm going to get this player, this player, this player. Look at my team for game week 28. It looks marvellous. But then the 4 or 5 game weeks to go, you're like, oh.
Well, I think with Sigurdsson though, he has got the great fixtures around it, really. So I wouldn't count him in that as well. And it's actually the same for a lot of them. Bournemouth, however, so I've got a couple of Bournemouth players. I'm happy for them to stay on the bench actually and come in game 28, or perhaps even game 26 if needed. But at the moment, I wouldn't say, get a Bournemouth player in, because if you look, they've got a terrible run. They've got Everton away, City at home, West Brom away, that's pretty bad. Manchester United away as well. And then it gets much better in game week 28. But so Bournemouth, no, yeah. I mean, I think the same rules basically apply. It's form and fixtures, isn't it? So Sigurdsson's got the form and fixtures. Bournemouth haven't really got the form.
It's interesting, Bournemouth, because the one game week where you need your Bournemouth players is the game week they might do all right, West Brom away.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I mean, this is where you are a little bit restricted, because you're looking at Daniels and Stanislas going, well, I can't sell them because they've got a fixture in game week 28, whereas normally you would look at it.
Oh, really? I might sell Daniels, but I'm happy to keep, because Stanislas is my fifth midfielder now.
Well, I've got him too, yeah.
And I'll play him. I've been alternating Phillips and Stanislas, and it's actually worked out pretty well. Home and away. Well, I mean, both of them didn't do very well this week, but usually it's kind of working out okay. I'm happy for Stanislas to stay as my fifth midfielder. I much prefer that than a fifth midfielder who's definitely not playing.
No, I mean, it's fascinating. I think in a way Andy is right in that it is quite handy because it channels our decisions, and it means that our transfers have got another variable, another criteria to consider, which like if you've got a choice between, I don't know, a Sigurdsson or Lallana, you're never going to go Lallana because Lallana misses game week 28 or potentially can.
But also
Sigurdsson don't. So it can swing your decisions, can't it?
But also because Lallana's got Tottenham at home, he's got Arsenal at home.
Yeah.
He's got Man City away all during that bit. So I wouldn't. It
was a bad example
anyway. But I know what you mean. I know what you mean though. You wouldn't be. I think Sterling's actually a good example because he's got fixtures and form. So yeah, you would. Yeah, there will be some people who are tempted and who might not. And this could be for the fantasy football scout community who are really paying attention to these things. It's either going to be a blessing or it's going to be their downfall, really. Well,
the thing is, it's interesting because we, hand on heart, we were going to put Sterling in the differentials. I mean, you know this, Joe, because you got the email that I said Sterling's going to be in differentials. Yeah. And then I think about thinking, well, are we hamstrung now? Can we actually recommend Sterling, given that he's got 2 blanks coming up? Are we going to get a lot of comments in the site going, what are you doing? How can you recommend Sterling? He's got blanks coming up. I wanted to recommend him because I thought he'd do well at West Ham, and he has. And now I regret not doing it. But it's a double-edged sword now, isn't it? Because when it comes to the picks, when it comes to differentials, we've really just got to look at one game week. But we are going to get accused of going, well, you can't recommend that player. Who's going to buy him now?
I mean, you've seen with the players like, say, Ali or Ericsson. I mean, Ali in particular had that phenomenal run. What did he get? Something like 50, 60 points across 4 game weeks? So, he could get, I mean, looking at Tottenham's run, so he's got Middlesbrough at home, so maybe he's going to miss game week 28. But he's got Middlesbrough at home. He's got Stoke at home.
Well, they've got 4 home games in 6.
Yeah, so you wouldn't. I mean, I've got Ali. I'm keeping him for as long as I can, as long as his form holds out. But that's another example. If you haven't got Ali, I think it would be foolish to say I'm not going to get Ali because he misses game week 28. That would be foolish, I think.
Okay. Andy, sorry.
Yeah, there is one scenario that I've seen knocking about is that you really do go for game week 28, and if all those teams blank, then we know within maybe 5 or 6 weeks they're going to have a double. So you could wildcard in game week 29, knowing that those players are going to have a double, and they're going to be the ones that you're going to want long term anyway, like Ibra, Sanchez, etc. So possibly, I know we want to hold on to that wildcard as late as possible. That is another tactic that I've seen people thinking about. I don't know if you think that's just a bit too early.
The thing is, I think Pacino is right. I think game week 37 is likely to be the big double game week, and therefore that's the one we want the bench boost in. And therefore, if that is going to be a big double game week with 6 or 7 fixtures and many big teams in it, then we want to use the wild card to set it up for that, don't we? I think
last season there was some research on the kind of people in the Hall of Fame and various veteran managers, which proved that we had last season we had 2 big double game weeks, game week 34 and 37. They were kind of much of a muchness. Game week 34 was typified by good use of a triple captaincy. I think that was the one anyway.
Sanchez and Aguero, yeah.
And so you were looking at a good bench boost, but the people that did best were those that saved their wild cards to maximise that game 37 bench boost. And because they were still getting those points from that triple captaincy, so they could still do that. And so it depends. I mean, as Andy said, there's a long way to go, and it's hard to get that. To get a firm plan in place and to see what fixtures are actually going to fall within that double game week. But yeah, you're going to be looking at those. Who is going to be my triple captain? Is it going to be Sanchez because a lot of people fell down by having their triple captaincy in game week 37 last week. They were forced to pay it.
Yeah, tell us about it. He goes on about it, doesn't he, Andy? Oh.
But it was only a West Ham player, so you missed out on the Sanchez Aguero ones earlier.
Carroll's looking good though at the moment.
Yeah, but Carroll's looking not again. But yeah, so that's the way that's the way it's going to work out. And you have to look at who's got the double game week. Is that the week for a triple captaincy? And if you usuals, I mean, for me, it's like Sanchez is such a reliable captain. If it's not him or Ibrahimovic, well, and I'm scrabbling around, well, then that's probably a good week for the bench boost.
It was odd because when the chips came in and we looked at triple captain, you were going, oh, that's going to go on Aguero or Sanchez.
Yeah.
We never looked at the start of the season. That's going straight on Andy Carroll, that one. How did that
That's
happen?
what FPL does to you. You just overthink sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, and it is overthinking, and you've got to look at what those things and things. On paper, that you want to go for your reliable captaincy. You don't want to be taking risks with that triple captaincy. It's very, very precious.
Overthinkers. We are the overthinkers. That's what we do all the time. We can't pretend we're not overthinkers. That's basically what Fantasy Football Scout is, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's look at more questions. We're going to talk about double game weeks and blanks again next week, I imagine, and every week until it's all over, I expect. So let's move on. Yeah, so
best Giroud replacement. So there's a few of us, myself and Andy included, who have Giroud.
Well, he misses 2 game weeks, doesn't he?
He misses 2 game weeks, and I think Wenger has finally worked out that Giroud is best coming on as a sub, not starting with him. See how the match goes with Walcott and Sanchez up front, then get Giroud in. I think he's worked that out now. So yeah, rotation risk now.
He crashed after last night. He went off at half time, and I was watching the transfers out, and immediately went off. Whoosh! People were getting rid. Presuming that's it for Giroud. Do you think that's the case?
Well, no. I mean, I think it's more likely now that he'll be used as an impact sub. But we've seen many times. I think it was Sunderland away.
Yeah.
All he needs is 20, 30 minutes against tired legs. He's an annoying penalty box player, so he will frustrate tired defences. But those blanks, and there's some better options really. So Chris White asks, who is the best Giroud replacement? Especially for those who already have Lukaku. So let's assume Lukaku's a good replacement. And could it be time actually because with the number of strikers who are going down from their watch list, could it be time to reconsider 3-5-2? He asks.
What does he mean going away from it?
Well, as in if you've got a Giroud, is the best replacement, something like go for Crouch or or Ashley Barnes or Vokes or something. Go for one you're happy to bench and then focus your money on your midfield again. Yeah, he's got a point. I mean, I've looked at a lot of the top teams in the Hall of Fame, for example, and 3-5-2 has seemed like the better option. But I've seen some good players in there playing 3-4-3 all season and getting great success rate. There's not actually really a uniform. That's the thing about this season. That's what marks it out. There isn't a set strategy you can say is the most effective yet. But to Chris, I would say that having a good, with the blanks coming up, if you're going to go down that route, make sure it's a third striker like Peter Crouch who you're happy to play. That's what I would say. I wouldn't bother with a non-player or a bit of rotation risk.
No, I mean you're going to need a bench, aren't you? So I mean I've got Anachibi on the bench at the moment. Yeah. He's gone. Yeah. I'm probably going to have to replace him with game week 28 in mind. While I'm not going to perhaps go overboard, I want to get as many players out as I can, and going in with Anachibi is just unforgivable. So I'm looking at this situation as well, and I'll probably go up to the 6th bracket into Carroll's area. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm going to go Carroll. But I'm going into his area. It's a bit like the Dalieli's territory.
Yeah, you're stepping into his territory.
Yeah. So I see. I mean, you mentioned Benteke in the notes. I spied. Yeah. Now he was stinking up your team a while ago. He was quite happy now to look back at him.
Well, because basically I was looking for some kind of hint that Sam Allardyce can weave his magic, and his magic is clean sheets.
Is it magic?
It's magic as in
traveling
back in time to the early 1960s on a muddy pitch when they play with a massive medicine ball. And it's basically pepper as many shots as possible as you can to the head of a big bloke, whether it's Kevin Davis or Benteke.
You're simplifying it.
And keep clean sheets. I mean, Sam Allardyce yesterday, he looked like all his Christmases come at once. Clean sheet, goal. Two goals from two big blokes in the penalty box, one really scrappy, one off the head. Oh, it's a dream, Big Sam. I'm looking at Benteke. So yes, he might miss game week 28, but I'm looking at that and I'm thinking if they're starting to gel like that, and Benteke's the bloke whose head they're all aiming at, well, yeah, he is a good option, I would say. Andy Carroll is another good option. Speaking of big blokes who are annoying in the penalty box.
Well, Andy, come in on this. You're looking excited. Has things been happening or something?
No, nothing's happened. I'm actually trying to see if Man United are going to bother scoring, but it doesn't look like it. And in fact, actually talking about blanks, Jackie Povich, 3.9 million. Looks like he's about to score 10 points against Man United.
Yeah, he's back in the game, isn't he? And you know, I raised him in the watch list this morning because I looked at him and went, "Oh, I've got to raise him because if you're going to look for a keeper for the cover that game week 28, Jackie Povich at 3.9 is a great option, isn't he?" And well, where do you stand on this striker situation? Benteke, you're not going to go back there, are you?
I'm not going to go back there. It was Bournemouth, right? Or I got it wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've been shipping goal. I think it was 10 in the last 4 games. Yeah, so I don't know. The Zaha is back, so I'm sure that had a bit of an effect as well as just playing Bournemouth. So it might be a good option. I mean, you've already mentioned him. Andy Carroll, I know we're going to have to keep mentioning blanks, aren't we? He's not going to blank. He's got really good stats when I looked at it earlier. The only one for that kind of price bracket that was doing better was Defoe, actually. Defoe's still right up there when you look at his stats. I don't know if anyone will want to go back there. He's still doing pretty good. Fixtures are nice. But when I look at the kind of the ones you'd want for your third striker role from the teams that are going to blank, obviously you've got Llorente, Hernandez, etc. Carroll would probably be the one I would look at.
Not Llorente? You don't fancy Fernando?
No. Not compared to Andy Carroll. Obviously, the only problem with Andy Carroll is he's got a bit of an injury... bad injury history, yeah, exactly. So, but no, I think if I was choosing between Llorente and Carroll, it'd be Andy Carroll for me. Oh, I'd go back there again. No, You're going to have him by game week 28, 100%.
No, it's become my Kolarov, isn't it?
I'm calling it now. He's your Anachibi replacement.
I know, and he could. I've looked at it. And I'm looking ahead to my transfers, and I'm going right. Sigurdsson will come in here, and then Coleman, and maybe I'll talk about it later. But I've got the budget. Looked at what I got left. Got about 7.5 million left. I looked at who I could get in. Andy Carroll stuck out like a big Geordie. So I don't. I'm trying to fight it, but all I'm hearing is I could go Benteke low. I could do. But then he's not there for 28, isn't he? It's a tough one. Giroud's got to go, though, hasn't he? There's no doubt that Arsenal at Chelsea are going to play Sanchez down the middle again, isn't it? He's going to be there, isn't he? Which is why, we put together the scout squad this week, and I think I put Sanchez as my second choice in midfield. I don't know where you went.
I ignored him altogether.
You ignored him altogether?
Why? Shall I tell you why? Because I just don't think he's that a good option against Chelsea. Because Chelsea are really strong defensively, especially at home.
Do you think?
Yeah, they
are. I'm not debating.
I think I know.
Do you think that they can calm Sanchez? 10 returns in 11. If anyone's going to turn them,
he could do. I'm happy to own him, but I'm certainly not going to captain him.
You see a Chelsea clean sheet against Arsenal.
I just also when we construct the scout squad, you think about the best players for that game week. We also have a slight in mind for future game weeks. But definitely for that game week, I just think there's better options than him, especially the Spurs midfield. But I also think I'm looking at Mane as well. And I'm also looking at people like Sterling. I put De Bruyne in my list as well at home.
So you have now. You snuck him in tonight, didn't you?
No, I put him in this morning.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I just think Sanchez will be down the centre again. Walcott out right. He's back to plan A, if that was plan A.
But how did that work out for Sanchez against Watford? I mean, got an assist.
Well, he didn't start
from wide.
He didn't start there.
I know, but when he carried on.
I just think Sanchez is still worth a look, even at Chelsea. But Giroud is out.
I mean, I'm not saying Sanchez is a bad option. I just think this particular game week, I think there's much more interesting players.
Andy, I'm sure he did, didn't he? Did he not say sell Sanchez? I'm sure that's what. No, of course not. I know what you're saying, but I don't know. I just think that it's going to be interesting now with Giroud and Sanchez, because Sanchez, I think, has wanted to get back in that central role. That's why he was so angered at going off at Swansea, I believe, because he wanted to have more time to try and show that's where he wanted to play. And so it's going to be interesting. That Chelsea-Arsenal game is going to be a very interesting game indeed. I think Arsenal will score there, and if they do, then Sanchez will get points, I think. So we'll see. But Giroud out, he's gone. Is he going to come back in the team, or is he going to be just on the bench from now on? What do you think, Andy?
I think that's probably... I'll never say never, but I think that's probably it for him for now. Like, I think this is the first match that Walcott didn't start when he wasn't injured, but obviously he has just come back from an injury, so potentially that's why. And obviously he played in the FA Cup. Yeah, I think that's the only one he's not started. I think they were playing better with Sanchez through the middle. I'm sure Wenger knows that. I'm not sure all Arsenal fans would think that he does, but I'm sure he does. And I've got him, and as soon as he went off at half-time, and as soon as I saw Walcott back, I was already getting ready to get rid of Giroud. And I think with Chelsea up next, a couple of banks coming, it's a no-brainer really to get rid of him.
What about Walcott? I mean,
but this is what you were saying. This is what you were saying earlier. Walcott would be in my team this week. I'd easily find a spot for him, but he's going to blank twice, and he just can't justify it, which is really annoying because I'd love to have him in. 7.4 million now, it's a bargain.
Yeah, and the thing is, but even then, though, I look at Walcott and think, where does Welbeck fit in this? Because Wenger loves Welbeck. I just think, I look at Arsenal now, Jonty, and I think it's just Sanchez and that's it. I don't think...
Yeah, totally.
We've got all these great players and we can't look at them, can we?
Yeah, no. I mean, and that's the beauty of Sanchez this season. That's why so many of us have been captaining recently. That's why he's had some form of attacking returns in 10 of his last 11 matches. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's what you want. Some of them have just been like, let's say, a 4, but some have been 7, 8, some double figures as well. Absolutely, he's FPL gold. But I think against Chelsea, yes, he might get something, but I'm not looking at that and going, wow, that could be Sanchez versus West Ham. You never know, but I think Chelsea.
Well, Van Persie got a hat-trick there, didn't he? One, so you just never know. I can't see it myself, but I just think he will get something. And I noticed this week, I don't know how it's finished tonight, but of the top 10 captains, he was the only one to get anything at all so far. Yeah. So it's just extraordinary. Ibra's just blank. Well, there you go. So
I think it's finished.
Yeah, so I think that is going to be the case again. It's just incredible that, others are letting us down. Sanchez always gets something, always grounds out some points.
No, I mean, that worries me, the Ibrahimovic blank, because that's 2 in a row now.
Yeah, here we go.
And this is the thing. This is the thing that's annoyed me most this season was Ibrahimovic's inexplicable failure to score after game week 4. Where his stats were so good, and you're just thinking, why? And okay, next week he'll be. And it went on and on and on, and it never ended.
Is he going to do it to us again?
Well,
it's another one.
We're about to come out. Well, in a minute, I think we're discussing the new Whipping Boys, and I think the 2 teams on the top of your table are who we have next. So
Ooh.
I don't know if you want to segue into that bit, but our next fixtures are Leicester away and Hull at home. And who are you selling Ibra for with those fixtures, even with 2 blanks?
It's Leicester and Watford, isn't it?
Well, yeah, let's go. I mean, go to that question now.
Leicester and Watford, sorry.
Delhi Dynamo asks, with Palace, Swansea, Hull, and possibly Sunderland getting their act together, particularly defensively, who are the new Whipping Boys? And as you said, I did a table of goal attempts in the box conceded over the last 2, because I think the last 2 is giving a slight impression of how new players are bedding in. Leicester at the top there, and Watford, we know Burnley, terrible away as well. So Burnley are a great whipping boy away from home. Definitely not at home though. But Leicester and Watford there, So, okay, I'm not going to sell Ibrahimovic, but let's give him a test here. If you can't score against those 2, then you do start to wonder.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I was thinking about this very subject tonight, because I thought Hull would do well. I didn't think they'd get a point, but he's turned them round, and we can't class them in that bracket. Clement seems to be getting Swansea together. Sunderland, jury's still out, but it was a battling draw. And then I come to Leicester, and I'm like, it's almost like they're in that horrible situation where not saying they think they're too good to go down, but because they're champions, it's going to be hard to break that feeling that, we can't go down. And whereas the teams like Hull are engaging full relegation battle mode, they're like, right, we're going to fight for everything. I wonder if Leicester are ever going to reach that point, whether they're ever going to be hard to beat, because they're not at the moment, are they?
They got Champions League coming up soon enough to start worrying about. I don't think the league looks like a priority right now. If you're playing any of those teams you kind of mentioned, I know you said Sunderland maybe a turnaround. I'm not so convinced by that. We'll have to see. But Marcus Silva at Hull is looking pretty good. The only thing I will say is we at Man United haven't converted chances all season. So yes, Hull will probably have done a bit better since he's been in, but against United, I'd almost say you can't really judge it on that, because we have missed so many chances this year. So you're still going to be happy to bring players in against these teams, even if they have started to do a bit better, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and also Hull have played United now 4 times, so they had a good practice how to shut United out, didn't they? So, and they did really well in a few of those games, as they have tonight. But I do, yeah. I mean, Watford. I mean, what do we think about Watford's performance at Arsenal? Is that a sign of better things to come, Jonty, or not?
Well, that was a combination of things. That was a combination of Arsenal's play. Helped them a lot. They were without Holebas, which seems to help them. And the other thing I noticed was Capoue. Capoue really turned it on, which may be possibly, I don't know, I hang out from his Spurs days as an anti-Arsenal thing. I might be reading too much into that, but he looks miles better. But I think the first goal for his assist for the first goal, the amount of space he had, the way he ran through him, it was like Ginola with that goal where he's weaving in and out. It was just they were backing off him, and I just thought, come on, it's only Capoue. So I don't know. The jury's still out. I thought Arsenal first half were terrible, so you would rank them as a poor side then. So I think anyone could have scored against them, to be honest.
Well, we'll see. I do think Leicester are in trouble, and with the whipping boy status thing, you're looking at these games going, well, who are they playing? Right, okay, I'm going to load up on them. And it is. Leicester have fallen into that trap now. They've got United, Liverpool and Arsenal coming up. And you've got to think there's holes there.
Now, I mean, this might be a segue into a chat about Sigurdsson, but game week 25, Swansea as well. So Leicester away to Swansea. We know how poor Leicester are away. We know that Sigurdsson's coming into form. So, yeah, once again there. It's a good fixture. Game week 27, Hull at home. Leicester, we've seen what Hull have done now. So... Could your bench players, your Jakupovic's, could they be fielded that week? Well, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, well, let's get on to the Sigurdsson question, because there's a poke at me here, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, yeah. So individual asks, is Sigurdsson now essential? And regular questioner FPL Virgin asked, what happened to Mark's bold and aggressive transfer policy last week? He noted that you didn't make any transfers and you kept Hazard. And I think you were saying you were considering. He said, did you freeze in Sigurdsson's headlights? So
no, I regret it. Hazard to Sigurdsson was the transfer, but I was just wary of starting to plan for the double game weeks and wanting to have 2 transfers this week. So the plan is to make 3 transfers this week to take a hit, but I don't know if I will now because I've got the injury to Rose. Had Rose not got injured, Hazard was going probably for Phillips, and I was going to bring in Anachibi's replacement and probably Coleman in for Chambers, and that would be my plan. So that's why I saved the transfer, because I wanted to make 3 transfers this week, and I like making hits when I've got 2 free transfers, so I can make 3 changes. But I regret it. But Hazard got me an assist, and he was he would have taken the penalty, wouldn't he? I mean, what's going on is that Hazard's been taken off after 75 minutes now. Last 3 matches, I think it's 78, 71, 74 he's been taken off. So there's a trend here. And obviously he's got Willian or Pedro on the bench at all times. So he's got that option to bring one of those 2 on. Looks like Hazard's going to be sacrificed late in games now. It's been a few. It's been a good few even before that. So I don't know whether I'll get rid of Hazard this week, though, because Rose has the injury. So I agree. I did bottle it to some extent, but I think it was all about planning ahead and looking at this week, and the Rose injury now has scuppered it a little bit. So I regret it. Sigurdsson was in my sights. Is he essential? He's one of those players we talked about earlier. If you're getting game week 28 assets in, he's in that top bracket. So not essential, but very important.
I think for someone like me who's got a low rank, he's got such a low ownership. I think it's about 5%, and he's capable of very strong returns. So I wouldn't say essential is an overused word. I think he's very, very useful if you're chasing, because he's not a player that many people are going to be getting in. And I was having a look in ahead of the games tonight, top of the goal attempts pile. Well, it was Sigurdsson. So it wasn't Sanchez, it wasn't Benteke or Walcott. It was all these names. It was Sigurdsson there as well. 3 shots on 3 of those were on target. 6 goal attempts, 3 on target. That was top of the pile of last night's games. So he's got the underlying stats. He's got the lot. So, and he's a cheap price. I think no one's essential, but he's very, very handy if you're chasing.
Yeah, Andy, your views on Sigurdsson? Is he coming in?
Yeah, it'll be probably against the I think the Leicester game's after City. So that's what I'm looking again. I can't really say anything you haven't already said. I think when you consider the blanks as well, I think you could almost label him as essential. I think there's 4 players, like I said already, Lukaku, Sigurdsson, and then the 2 Everton defenders. I think they're the 4 that you're kind of looking at to bring in. And he's got everything. And his stats have been good all the way through. I think I said last week or the week before, I was looking to get rid, even though his stats were good because he just wasn't producing. I think he got 1 assist in 6 games, which obviously isn't good returns for anyone. Yeah, he's still got those good stats. He's on all set pieces. What more can you say about him? He's got good fixtures in and around the blanks. He doesn't blank. I can't find a reason not to get him in, to be honest. 7.2 million. There's not right now. I'm still playing 3-5-2. There's not a whole lot of midfielders I'm kind of interested in, really. Even the double up of Eriksen and Ali, I'm sure it'll still be good going forward, but obviously because of the 0-0 now, it suddenly doesn't look quite as appealing. But yeah, Sigurdsson in for me 100%. Before the blanks, he'll definitely be in next week.
Yeah, I really regret getting rid, to be honest.
Yeah, same. I got Morales in for him. He's done nothing.
Yeah, it was just I had to do it if I wanted to get Rose in, and that hasn't worked out for me. It's just unfortunate in that respect. The injury, missed out on the clean sheet, Walker delivering over Rose. It's just one of those things. It's the way fantasy football is. But I learned my lesson maybe there. But yeah, FPL Virginia, maybe I did bottle it a little bit. Fair enough. Next question, John T.
Well, we're looking at, over to Everton again. And this is a real specific one about Baines or Coleman, really. And The Rock asks, is doubling up on Coleman and Baines actually the way to go? So, doubling up with them along with Lukaku gets a bit more reliability. Well, I think he could be onto something, especially if you've got game week 26 and 28 in mind as well. Because, I think Lukaku didn't score tonight. But I still think, looking at the last 4 game weeks before tonight's match, I hasten to add, he's still the top guy for getting shots in the box. He's still the guy that's annoying there that can score. And we had a good article actually recently in our community articles. He has a reputation of being a troll, as in he scores when you least expect it, so lets you down. Well, people are getting a bit clouded by certain 1 or 2 results, and actually it proved that over the years and this season, he does pretty well against really weak sides and not so well against the tougher sides. And to be honest, Stoke away, that's quite a tough match still. So I wasn't expecting strong returns there. So, but yeah, looking at that, and Coleman is still there. Coleman and Baines are still they've got that wing backs, they're getting those attacking moves. They're cheaper than Barkley and Morales, and they're arguably just as attacking or just as much potential of goals and assists. Yeah, I think if you're going to get 3, why not?
Yeah, I mean, wing backs though. I mean, he's changed the system at half time tonight. He's not playing wing backs consistently. I don't think it's a bit like the Spurs situation. We don't absolutely know it's nailed. It's not Chelsea. It's not week in, week out. So Holgate is a player we've mentioned already. Went off at half time. So everyone who was lumping on him going, bargain. You can't rely on that. Finners-Murray is different. I think Finners-Murray is in that team now, and I like him because he's got a goal threat and he hasn't delivered on it yet. He's a bit like Alderweireld. He is a potent goal threat, and he will get probably 3 or 4 goals over the season. He did last season, and I think he's probably got 1 or 2 in him over this spell. And I'm looking at that. Well, it depends what I can do with the money if I go to Finners-Murray instead of Coleman and Baines. Coleman's coming in, that's a certainty. Baines, I love him, but can I get 2? I don't know. Andy, what's your views on doubling on the 2 wing backs?
Again, I don't think you can really argue against it that much when you take the blanks into account. Obviously, other than that, you've got players like Walker and Alonso and Brunt. So at that point, then you're looking at a 5-man defence. I'm not sure many of us want to play that. But yeah, I was always a Baines man, but it looks like Coleman is. I know, like it feels like we're chopping and changing depending on who scores every week. But he does look in open play the more attacking. So if you get Baines in, you are kind of relying on penalties, and it's always nice when one of your defenders gets a penalty. But right now, it seems that Coleman's more likely to assist or score in general. So yeah, I'll be bringing 1 in. I'd like to double on him, probably. I've kind of screwed myself by getting Morales, so I'm kind of stuck there. But yeah, if you want to double on them, I think we haven't really talked about it, but playing 4 at the back during the backs could be good with those 2 and Brunt at least. So yeah, good option for sure.
I think 4 at the back is the way we're going, isn't it? By the sounds of it. I mean, I'm looking at that, John T.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Chris Brunt in. I've got Alonso. I'm looking to get Coleman in next week. I'm going to probably I'll come to it, but I'll probably take a hit to get Coleman in. So I've got 3 regulars there. And there are lots of options. I think defenders are, because of the wing backs roles, they're so much more attacking. And then we've got Palace as well. See, Palace have got good fixtures, and they've got Scott Dan as the header man. And they've also got Patrick Van Aanholt, who we'll come to a bit later, as well. So we've got two proven defensive goal scorers there. Lots of options now. So it's quite exciting in defence, I think.
Yeah, I think it is. It's the way to go. I mean, it's like we've said before, these defenders are playing more attacking roles. You've got to even don't look at them as defenders. Don't look at Coleman. For me, used to be a winger, and he's adapted to that wing back role better than we anywhere near expected. We thought Baines was the option, but when they switched to this wing back role, Coleman has clearly just surged ahead, hasn't he? And it's shown in the stats, shown in the points, and we can't resist it. We switched Baines to Coleman in the watch list last week, and I think, yes, it looks like we're chopping and changing, but you have to. I think in this case it's warranted. It's just, you can't ignore him, and he'll be coming in for me tonight. I think, he lost his goal tonight, but he was involved again, wasn't he? So I just think it's hard to resist Coleman at the moment. Baines, very different. Next question, Jonty.
Well, talking about January recruits, we did have an article out today. I do urge people to have a look at it. We've had a look at some of the transfer deadline day ones. But so Ginola asks, which of the January transfer people in have the potential to be useful? For me, I'm looking at the players that we already know a lot about, who perhaps move clubs either from the Championship or the Premier League. And I've mentioned him already, Patrick Van Aanholt. I think he is a very Sam Allardyce type player. He did very well. He was the top goal scoring defender, I believe, last season.
Yeah, 6.
Under Sam Allardyce. So Sam Allardyce likes him. He likes him to attack. He likes him to, well, can't defend that well. But yeah, so there's definitely, I like him a lot. I'm also interested about Brady, gone to Burnley as well. And at Burnley, I've got quite a few midfield options now, but I think that's quite good. And of course, Snodgrass to West Ham is very interesting as well.
Yeah,
waiting to see what happens there. We know he's a good player. He probably not on penalties now though, so slight dip, but nevertheless, yeah.
It's strange because Snodgrass, they couldn't have got a player more akin to Payet in terms of the role he plays, the type of player he is. Chances created, he's right up there with the very best. In fact, last 4 game weeks, he's right at the top. And yeah, he hasn't got penalties, but he got 5 goals from open play this season. So it's the free kicks as well, which Payet had, so Snodgrass can step up for those. He's interesting, isn't he? Because he's got the 28. Andy, who are you looking at? Anyone in that pile?
Yeah, I mean, people were talking about Snodgrass when he was going to Burnley, and at that point, I didn't really see why, given how poor they are away, and they got loads of away fixtures. But at West Ham, he's much more interesting prospect. So wait and see how he fits in there. But he's probably the main one I got my eye on. Brady, there's some talk about him playing left back. I don't know if that would happen. Obviously, he's listed as a midfielder, so obviously no good reverse out of position. But I suppose, to be honest, it's not that exciting really, the January transfer window, when I look through who's changed. Font is probably going to make the West Ham defence, when they're not playing Man City, a bit more tight. And Byram's currently playing right back, probably won't keep his spot, but one to keep an eye on just in case. And not right now, well, maybe right now. We were discussing before how to pronounce his name, but I think Gabriel Jesus, Man City, I think he's going to be a really interesting one. Now, I'm not saying get him in now, because I think Aguero might have just been had a knock, right? So it might be why he didn't play today. I don't know if he's got rested or whatever. But for the double game weeks, I can just see us wanting Gabriel Jesus in our teams. I just think if Man City have a double, he's just one of those punts where it's late in the season, you're trying to climb the ranks. I think he'd be a really interesting. I guarantee you, we're looking at.
He's not going to play back to back, though, is he?
How do you know? How do you know what happens?
Well, it's just Pep, isn't it? We
Aguero injury.
I just don't think we can rely on Pep, and it's so difficult.
I was trying to make the January transfer sound exciting. It's
I mean, this is it. I mean, we're struggling, weren't we? Really, and I think Van Aanholt and Snodgrass, players we know well, is the best route right now. Let's see how players like Niang looked impressive for Watford. He did all right. I don't know. There wasn't a lot there, was there? I mean, the signings that have come in, the defensive signings mainly as well. So it might be that we get more clean sheets elsewhere. We'll see. I mean, there's no magic. There's no stardust in that January window, was there?
No, I mean, the other one I had on my list was Lescott, because he's only 4 million. But whether or not he'll get into the side, I don't know.
Yeah,
but he's had
a
little bit of goal threat. But yeah, like I say, we're scraping the barrel there.
Okay, John T, next question.
Well, we're looking ahead, actually. So just looking ahead to next game week.
Yeah, let's do it.
looking at for our clean sheets and fancy island risks. So yeah, I mean, go with you first, Mark. Pick out a clean sheet.
Well, I'll just help myself to the Everton clean sheet then, shall I? I'm going to have to go there. I don't know. Bournemouth are a funny team, aren't they? So they're a bit unpredictable. They could notch at Goodison, but Everton are very strong at home. I know they conceded at Stoke, but it was Peter Crouch. They had to let him have his 100th goal. They wanted to see him do the dance. So I'm going to go Everton. I think that Coleman will deliver for the thousands that will be bringing him in tonight, even though he only got an assist. So yeah, I'll go Everton for my clean sheet. We'll come back to fancy on this when I thought of one.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna sneak in front of Andy, and I'm going to go for a really obvious one: Spurs against Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough set up to not score really away from home, and Spurs are very, very strong defensively.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And Andy?
Yeah, I think I'll take West Brom against Stoke. We got a clean sheet last home game out, and I think, obviously Stoke have got Crouch. Berahino's probably going to start soon enough, but I think West Brom have got enough to shut them out there and hopefully be attacking returns and defensive for Chris Brunt again. Yeah,
he's so strong at home. 3 goals, 3 assists, all come at home. Brunt's a good signing, I think, for Jonty, and I think he'll do very well. That's the alternative to the Everton defence, of course, is doubling up on West Brom maybe, because they've got 3 home fixtures in 4 as well, and the 28. Okay, fancy on this. I mean, I don't want to go in. Troy Deeney home to Burnley. I just think Burnley conceded a lot of goals, and I think Deeney's got 2 in 2, showing form. We're not going to get him in because obviously the game week 28 situation. Or are we? I don't know. Maybe we are. But I think he fits it snugly. He fits Green Wimwell's criteria. Green Wimwell won't be fidgeting. He won't be shaking his head at the prospects of me picking Troy Deeney as a fancy island risk. Niang will be another one. Watford as well. I think he looked pretty sharp. Obviously not fully match fit yet. He's going to take a bit of time. But I think Watford have got a couple of goals in that. I don't see Heaton keeping the clean sheet. It'll be save points only for Heaton, I think, at Watford. John, to your risk.
Well, I'm going to go, I've mentioned him a few times already, Van Arnholt. I'm going for him. Low ownership, newly in, as I've said before, just fits the Sam Allardyce model so well. I think he's got a chance for a clean sheet, but definitely chance for attacking returns too.
So how's he going to play with Schlupp? Do you think they're just going to play fluid and like Van Arnholt play left back, Schlupp will play left wing, and they'll just swap?
Well, for this particular one, I think Schlupp's injured, so I don't have to worry about that.
Oh, he might come back at the weekend.
He may come back, but I would, the way that Van Arnholt went straight in, I mean, he practically arrived down in his plane or limo or coach, and it was just immediately in the side. So that's how much he's valued.
They're both going to play.
Yeah,
it's just where they're going to.
Well, I don't mind whether we'll play. I would imagine the way Van Arnholt has defended for Sunderland, it would be advisable to play him as a wing back or winger.
Well, Big Sam said that he defended a lot better under him. I don't know if that was
maybe it could be.
He did say that. He got that little dig in there.
I mean, Big Sam does have, as we discovered to his cost as an England manager, he does have an ego. So sometimes what he says doesn't.
He can get teams to defend, though. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I've got to give him that. Andy, your fancy on risk.
Yeah, actually, just really quickly, Schlupp's probably one we should have mentioned for January transfer windows. If he's going to play further forward out of position, of course, 4.8 million. But yeah, mine, I've probably had this guy before, and this is probably not the best time to bet against West Ham, but I'm going to go for Redmond. He's had 14 shots in the last 4 games. It's only third to Sanchez and Firmino. Surely he's going to maybe get a couple of games in.
He's been a funny one, hasn't he, Redmond? Because we're all over him in pre-season. Yeah. We're like, he's playing up front. From the start. Looking lively, plenty of chances, goals are coming. He hasn't. I mean, they can't keep him in this role, can they? Because he's clearly a player who plays well and impresses, but he just hasn't got. He's not a goal scorer, so he's not going to fulfil the goal count you need playing in that role. So they're going to have to admit defeat, aren't they, and move him back to the wing eventually next season. But he's been very frustrating because it would have been lovely for him to work out like Rodriguez. We'd have loved him to work out as an out of position option. It's not happening. It's very frustrating. John, to your views on Redmond, because was he ever in your team? He was in mine.
He was in my team. I think he was in my team briefly. I think I got an assist out of him. It's just one of those things. It's just the way Southampton play. I was looking at my goals imminent table before tonight's match, so it was very incomplete. There was only a few names on it. In fact, there was 2 names on it, and Redmond was one of them. I think that will be. I think that will change after tonight. So I haven't looked at it yet, but it does indicate he's getting in there. But that's been Redmond's problem all season. Really, he's been putting stats in, but he's never really converted them. I just think there's better options.
No, I like the pick though. I mean, the thing is, you can pick him every week as a fancy on a risk.
Yeah, it's a good risk, but I mean, as a player to genuinely to get in,
they always suggest he's going to do well, and and it's a bit like Tadic this season. Well, Southampton, very, very frustrating side this year. They've got good players. Buffal is another one who seems to be just great player. Looks like he will deliver. Hasn't managed to do it, and it's going to be interesting. They've done well though. Kilpel will put this season down as a good one, but just for fantasy terms, they've been probably my most frustrating team, I would say, this season. Let's do transfers and captains. Coming to you first, John T, for your captain and transfer.
At the moment, it's on Lukaku. I think that's a great fixture at home to Bournemouth. I had a look at Rate My Team computer. It advised me and my team to get Lukaku. I'm tempted by Ali as well. So
do you not feel the trolling from Lukaku? Because you look at it and go, "This is the game. This is the game for him." And that's
well. I mean, yes, he may not get any returns, but as that article I mentioned earlier showed, that against weaker teams, particularly at home, he actually does pretty well. So I think he'd be a good option. In terms of transfers, I've got Giroud I need out, and I do want Coleman in. I've got Charlie Daniels, who's a bit iffy. And I've got Amat that I think I need to start replacing. So I think if I'm going to take a hit,
we've all got Amat, haven't we?
I think that. So I'm thinking of either Amat and Giroud to Carroll and Coleman, or Daniels and Giroud out for Coleman and Benteke.
Okay, interesting, Andy. Where are you going?
Yeah, so I thought I just had Giroud to deal with, but now I have Giroud, Jones, and possibly Mkhitaryan and Amat as well to get rid of. I could probably talk about this for the next half an hour. So Giroud's going to go, I think, for Lukaku. And I wasn't actually going to play Jones anyway this week, so I can possibly just bench him. And Lukaku's actually looking to be my captain as well, because it's either him, Ibra, or Ali. And I just think Bournemouth have conceded, like I said earlier, 10 goals in the last 4 games. Troll or not, that's a good fixture for Lukaku. So he's going to be my captain. I'm going to bring him in. I could take a hit to bring in someone for Jones, but then I'm benching one of Alonso, Brunt, or Holebas, and Holebas not ideal, but Burnley at home is a good fixture. So I think I'm going to save, but eventually I'm going to have to take a hit in a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, before tonight, I was probably was going to go play safe on Ibra, but he has spooked me a bit with the blank again.
He did.
There
was nearly an assist at the end. Matta missed an absolute sitter. So again, he's nearly in the points. But this is the problem with us. It keeps happening.
We've seen it before.
I mean, I think always go for that home and away as well, But also, Leicester are poor at the moment. We know that they're whipping boy status. But I think Ibrahimovic is the safe one. When it comes to who's the most popular captain, he is going to be the most popular captain. He will win it because Sanchez will be down. Lukaku is owned, but not as well owned. Costa's against Arsenal and Hazard as well, so that's going to be low as well. And I think Kane's going to be quite popular. So I think, I don't own Kane. I can't see a way I can get him in. If it's one of those weeks where Kane gets a hat trick and no one else does anything, then that's a big red arrow. So don't about it.
But Middlesbrough, they don't give much ground, do they? And Spurs, that's a result that's really spooked us, hasn't it?
I think if I had Kane, I would captain him this week.
Would you?
Yeah. I'm not. I like owning Ali. I can't quite. As I said, he's my second choice behind Lukaku. I do quite like Ali as a captain, but Kane, I wouldn't hesitate. Which is odd because he gets less points for a goal, but I just wouldn't hesitate. I think it's penalties, everything at home.
So if you had Kane, you'd go Kane over Lukaku.
I think Kane is the best captain this week. I don't own him though. So I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, this is the issue. Like I've said before, that Ali Eriksson can cover me not having Kane, but they don't cover you for the captaincy because there's something about going with Kane over Ali and Eriksson. I don't think I'd ever go Ali and Eriksson as a captain, no matter how well they're doing. And Eriksson's been ultra consistent. Okay, he's dried up now, but he had that track record of looking like he's changed as a player. But I'd never put the armband on him, I don't think. It was close last week. Before the Sunderland game, I was looking at it, but I'm glad I didn't now, obviously. And Ali's the same. Even though he's exploded points, Kane is still the better captain's option.
Yeah. I think the way Ali and Kane play as well, they clearly, I don't know whether they get on off the pitch as well, but on the pitch, there's some of the assists that he's had for Kane have just been, there's mind reading stuff between them. So I do think having Ali does mitigate against some of those Kane points if he goes crazy and gets a brace and a hat trick again.
Okay, well, I mean, I know I raised my eyebrows at Lukaku, but he does look the obvious pick at the moment, given the sound. I mean, I think Sanchez will get something out of Chelsea. I think that'll be, there'll be a score draw there. I think there'll be a few goals in that, maybe 2-1 one way or another. So I think Sanchez will come out with something, but I'm not going to put the armband on him, I don't think. And Ibra, after tonight, I've changed my, I'm worried about it. I'm worried we're entering that phase again where he's going to hurt us. So maybe he's going to go in the blanks. We'll see. So I'll go Lukaku. My transfers, Coleman's coming in tonight. Rose will probably go out because I think that knee injury, it might not be serious, but I don't think he's going to play against Middlesbrough. I think he may have even got rested anyway because Pochettino was saying he's going to rotate. So Rose will be out for Coleman. I don't know what I'll do with the second one yet. Going to hold it for a bit. I'm looking at Funes Mori, though, in for Chambers, possibly. Doubling on the Everton defence at home to Bournemouth. It's risky. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet. But Coleman's coming in, and it might be Funes Mori as well. I'm hoping he's got a few goals in him for the end of the season, hopefully over this blank period. Okay, FanDuel going well. I mean, I thought I did better than I actually did. I checked my score before I came on air. Sterling got me a few points tonight. I'm out of the money. It's an uninspiring result for me, but you did all right, didn't you, Jonty? FanDuel
well, I don't know. I was doing okay until it all depends on. I had no.
Okay.
Basically, I had Coleman and Morales, and I was in the money. But with Coleman's goal turning into an assist and Morales' assist turning into nothing, I've now dipped out of the money. So
there you go.
That's good. But
double the pain. That makes Andy feel a whole lot better. Andy, at least you haven't lost any money as a result of the Coleman change. And don't get anything for Phil Jones apart from pity, I expect. Okay, thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for listening in. It's a good night for me.
Good night for me.
Good night.
Good night all.